Airframe, non-metallic structures. Which of these methods may be used to inspect fiberglass or honeycomb structures for entrapped water? X-ray and blacklighting. Moisture, mildew, chemicals, and acids have no effect on glass fabric. When patching a plywood skin, abrupt changes in cross-sectional areas which will develop dangerous stress concentration should be avoided by circular or elliptical patches. When and how is finishing tape applied on a fabric-covered aircraft? Doped on after the first or second coat of dope. What type of bit should be used to drill holes in plexiglass? A specially modified twist drill. Which statement concerning wood decay is correct? Any form or amount of decay is not permitted. On a semi-monocule fuselage, the skin is reinforced by longitudinal structural members called longerons and stringers. When inspecting a composite panel using a ring test or tapping method, a dull thud may indicate separation of laminates. Pin knot clusters are permitted in wood aircraft structures provided they produce small effect on grain direction. Which type of monocule fuselage has the skin reinforced by a complete framework or structural members? Reinforced shell. A faint line running across the grain of a wooden spar generally indicates compression failure. When balsa wood is used to replace a damaged honeycomb core, the plug should be cut so that the grain is perpendicular to the skin. Which parts of a semi-monocule fuselage prevent tension and compression from bending the fuselage? Longerons and stringers. Which statement about wood decay is correct? Decay is not acceptable in any form or amount. The length of time that a catalyzed resin will remain in a workable state is called the pot life. A potted compound repair on honeycomb can usually be made on damages less than 1 inch diameter. Fiberglass damage that extends completely through a laminated sandwich structure may be repaired. Where is the information found concerning acceptable species substitutions for wood materials used in aircraft repair? The AC 43.13-1. What reinforced tool is used to determine how the fiber is to be orientated for a particular ply of fabric? Warp clock or compass? The strength of a well-designed and properly prepared wood splice joint is provided by the glue. The strength and stiffness of a properly constructed composite buildup depends primarily on the orientation of the plies to the load direction. Finishing tape or surface tape is used for what purpose? To provide additional wear resistance over the edges of the fabric forming structure. The part of a replacement honeycomb core that must line up with the adjacent original is the ribbon direction. For doped and overlapping span-wise seams on a wing's leading edge, overlap the fabric at least 4 inches and cover with finishing tape at least 4 inches wide with the tape centered at the outside edge of the overlap seam. Superficial scars, scratches, surface abrasion, or rain erosion on fiberglass laminates can generally be repaired by applying 1 or more coats of suitable resin, room temperature catalyst to the surface. Which of the following are benefits of using microballoons when making a repair to laminated honeycomb panels? Improved strength to weight ratio, less density, and lower stress concentrations. Laminated wood spars may be substituted for solid rectangular wood spars if the same quality of wood is used for both. Which of the following, when added to wet resins, provides strength for the repairs of damaged fastener holes in composite panels? Flocks and chopped fibers. When necessary, what type of cutting fluid is usually acceptable for machining composite laminates? Water only. Laminated wood is sometimes used in the construction of highly stressed aircraft components. This wood can be identified by its parallel grain construction. Glue deterioration in wood aircraft structure is indicated when a joint has separated and the glue surface only shows the imprint of the wood with no wood fibers clinging to the glue. The determining factors for the selection of the correct weight of textile fabric to be used in covering any type of aircraft is the speed of the aircraft and the maximum wing loading. The monocule fuselage relies largely on the strength of skin or covering. Which of the following conditions will determine the acceptance of wood with mineral streaks? Careful inspection fails to reveal any decay. Which of the following are generally characteristics of aramid or Kevlar composites? High tensile strength and flexibility. Fiberglass laminate damage can extend completely through one facing and into the core requires the replacement of a damaged core and facing. Which statement is true regarding a cantilever wing? No external bracing is needed. The best method of repair for a fabric-covered surface which has a L-shaped tear, each leg of which is approximately 14 inches long, is to sew with a baseball stitch from the center of the tear out toward the extremity of each leg and then doped on a patch. Which fiber to resin percent or ratio for advanced composite wet layups is generally considered the best for strength? 60-40. Which is an identifying characteristic of acrylic plastics? Zinc chloride will have no effect. One method of inspecting a laminated fiberglass structure that has been subjected to damage is to strip the damaged area of all paint and shine a strong light through the structure. Fabric rejuvenator is used to restore the condition of the dope coatings. What is the material layer used within the vacuum bag pressure system to absorb excess resin during curing called? The bleeder. Which of the following are generally characteristics of carbon or graphite fiber composites? Stiff, high compressive strength, and corrosive effect in contact with aluminum. When testing the strength of a grade A cotton fabric covering an aircraft that requires only intermediate grade, the minimum acceptable strength the fabric must have is 70% of the original strength for intermediate fabric. Proper pre-preg composite layup curing is generally accomplished by applying external heat and pressure. The cantilever wing uses no external bracing. When conducting a tap test on a composite panel, which of the following sounds would indicate delamination? A dull thud. Which is considered good practice concerning the installation of acrylic plastics? When rivets are used, adequate spacer or other satisfactory means to prevent excessive tightening of the frame to the plastic should be provided. Machine sewn seams in aircraft covering fabrics may be of which of the following types? Folded fell, French fell, or plain lapped. The classification for fiberglass reinforcement material that has high resistivity and is the most common is E-glass. A piece of sheet metal is bent to a certain radius. The curvature of the bend is referred to as the bend radius. Fungicide and mildewcide additives are important for fabric-covered aircraft such as cotton and linen. When dope-proofing the parts of the aircraft structure that came in contact with the doped fabric, which of the following provide an acceptable protective coating? Aluminum foil and cellulose tape. Composite fabric material is considered to be the strongest in what direction? The warp direction. Sandwich panels made of honeycomb construction are used on aircraft because this type of construction saves weight while not compromising strength. Servicing diagrams that show the arrangement of equipment and location of quick access doors on aircraft can be found in the Aircraft Manufacturer's Maintenance Manual. In cases of elongated bolt holes in a wood spar or cracks in the vicinity of bolt holes, a new section of spar should be spliced in or the spar replaced entirely. How many fabric thicknesses will be found in a French fell seam? 4. Compression failures in wood aircraft structures are characterized by buckling of the fibers that appear as streaks on the surface at right angles to the grain. If an aircraft's transparent plastic enclosures exhibit fine cracks which may extend in a network or over or under the surface or through the plastic is said to be grazing. The coefficient of expansion of most plastic enclosure material is greater than both steel and aluminum. When making repairs to fiberglass, cleaning of the area to be repaired is essential for a good bond. The final cleaning should be made using MEK, methyl ethyl ketone. Repairing advanced composites using materials and techniques traditionally used for fiberglass repairs is likely to result in an unairworthy repair. When repairing large, flat surfaces with polyester resin, warping of the surface is likely to occur. One method of reducing the amount of warpage is to use short strips of fiberglass in the bonded repair. A category of plastic material that is capable of softening or flowing when reheated is described as thermoplastic. Metal fasteners used with carbon or graphite composite structures must be constructed of materials such as titanium or corrosion-resistant steel. The preferred way to make permanent repairs on composites is by laminating on new repair plies. One of the best ways to assure that a properly prepared batch of matrix resin has been achieved is to have mixed enough for a test sample. What is the purpose of a gousset or gousset plate used in the construction and repair of aircraft structures? To join and reinforce intersecting structural members. The I-beam wooden spar is routed to reduce weight. Cabin upholstery materials installed in current standard category airplanes must be at least flame resistant. The strength classification of fabrics used in aircraft covering is based on tensile strength. What is the most common method of cementing transparent plastics? The soak method. The classification for high tensile strength fiberglass used in aircraft structures is S-class. When installing transparent plastic enclosures, which are retained by bolts extending through the plastic material and self-locking nuts, the nuts should be tightened to a firm fit, then backed off one full turn. Fiberglass laminate damage not exceeding the first layer or ply can be repaired by filling with the putty consisting of a compatible resin and clean, short fiberglass. Glass fibers. How does acoustic emission testing detect defects in composite materials? By picking up the noise of any deterioration that may be present. Hole-filling fasteners, for example MS-2470 rivets, should not be used in composite structures primarily because of the possibility of causing delamination. Any wooden member that has been overstressed is subject to which type of failure? Compression. If a new safety belt is to be installed in an aircraft, the belt must conform to the strength requirements in which document? TSO C22. If no scratches are visible after transparent plastic enclosure materials have been cleaned, their surfaces should be covered with a thin coat of wax. Which of the following drill bit types work best when drilling an aramid fiber or Kevlar composite laminate? Carbide W point.